Brought to you by Penguin.
Life in the Balance, A Doctor's Stories of Intensive Care by Jim Down. For Tish, Edie and Tom. This book is a work of non-fiction, based on the life, experiences and recollections of the author. To maintain patient confidentiality and to protect the privacy of individuals, some names and identifying features have been changed. In many cases, the stories told in this book are not based on any specific patient or individual, but are a selection of composite characters drawn from the author's various experiences. Any similarities are purely coincidental. Some names have not been changed in line with the wishes of those individuals. All views expressed are the private views of the author and do not represent those of University College London Hospitals NHS Trust. Chapter 1. Origins. He's got what? Gram-negative rods in his blood. Sorry, I meant to say this morning. Jesus, Jim! When did you find out? They bleeped me, I'd been in the toilet. I didn't have a pen and then it slipped my mind. He's on antibiotics. We stopped them. The oral amoxil from his GP, and now his blood pressure's 80, according to the staff nurse, but she's rechecking it. You've got good IV access. We did, but it's just tissued. I've got 2 chest pains here. I can't leave. I'll go and try again. He needs fluids and antibiotics, Augmentin and Gent IV. Yep. Have you called ICU? I'll phone them now. I paused. Sorry, Sophie. I turned away before she could say anything else and ran back down the 200-metre corridor to Murray Ward. It was September 1994, but I can still remember the miserable feeling of panic, fear, guilt and embarrassment as if it was yesterday. I felt it many times since. I'd been a doctor for just over a month, and I was the medical house officer in a large university teaching hospital in Bristol. I was sharing a house with 4 medical school mates, and in many ways we were still living a student life. We spent too much time in the pub, ate very few vegetables and washed up only sporadically. But we weren't students anymore. We were doctors. We were the lowest of the low in the medical hierarchy, houseplants, yet to register fully with the General Medical Council, GMC. But we'd got the title and were in equal measure giddy with the achievement and terrified. In the hospital, instead of being students who were a nuisance and in the way all the time, we had a role and an iota of respect. Unfortunately, with that came the expectation that we'd know stuff, be able to do things and, worst of all, make decisions. No longer could we just peruse blood tests or x-rays with vague academic interest. Now we had to act on them. We had to decide whether a result was important or urgent and then proceed accordingly. And I'd just made my first big mistake. I'd failed to recognize a sick patient, and now his life was in danger. He was a 55-year-old man called Petros, whom we'd admitted in the early hours of that Saturday morning. Our firm, consisting of a consultant, a registrar, a senior house officer, SHO, and me, were on call for the weekend, Friday morning until Monday evening. The SHO, Sophie, and I would not leave the hospital in that time, so we were 30 hours into an 80-hour shift. In the 1960s, the junior doctors lived on the hospital campus. Their social lives were usually based around the hospital, and they were on call for their patients every other night, but they were looked after. My father remembers handing his bleep over to a porter before dinner was served at 7:07 precisely, in the boardroom of the Royal Brompton Hospital. One of the junior doctors carved a joint. Beer was served with the meal, and, should the wards require his services, the porter would approach discreetly and whisper in his ear. Other hospitals were less predictable and busier, but he expected to sleep for at least part of the night, because he was responsible for a small group of patients.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?